Welcome back to MCPconnects. The world has become a pretty weird place the last few months, so who better to connect with than the iconic king of weird, Weird Al. Al joins us from his home in LA and talks a little about his music journey, his influences, and how he's been keeping busy during quarantine. Let's get weird!
There's a suitcase poking me in the ribs. There's an elbow in my ear. There's a smelly old bum standing next to me. He hasn't showered in years.
Think I'm just too white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. Can't you see I'm white and nerdy?
As I walk through the valley where I harvest my grain, I take a look at my wife and realize she's very plain.
I'm saying soon I'm gonna be a Jedi with aluminum foil. It might seem crazy wearing stripes of plaid. Rise up, and I am not throwing away my shot.
Joining us from his home in Los Angeles, California, the iconic, the amazing Weird Al.
Hello, how you doing?
Doing very well. How are you doing?
Doing okay, just hanging in there. We're here with my family. We're weathering the pandemic.
Yeah.
I've left the house maybe 2 or 3 times since the beginning of March with my mask on, and we're being safe. We're being careful, and I'm kind of a hermit anyway. I'm a kind of as long as I've got my man cave with my internet connection, I'm pretty much okay.
So, how has it been for you? Obviously, these are weird times. The world is a weird place, but you are the king of making weird wonderful. Do you have any words of wisdom for us? How do we weather this thing and make it great?
Oh my goodness. Well, I just be positive about that. I think it might not be for a little while, but at some point this is going to end, and then life will get back to semi-normal. In the meantime, you just make the best of the situation as it is. People are finding new ways to go about their lives, and sometimes they're actually improvements. I think this as awful as it is, this pandemic has allowed people to kind of slow down a little bit and maybe focus maybe focus on the things that are more important in life. So I try to look at the silver lining of things.
Yes, that's fantastic. And a big focus of Melodic and of this series is that these are crazy times, but there's a lot of beauty that's coming out of this as well. And one of those things is having time to take stock of what really matters. And that's each other. That's relationships,
Absolutely, yeah.
So I'm curious, there's been a lot of downtime. Obviously, you're not touring. How has the experience been for you? Has it inspired any creativity, or have you just kind of been...
I wish I could say, I've got a lot of friends that are very creative, and we're kind of in two camps. Some people look at this as like, oh, I've got all this free time now, I'm going to do all these amazing projects. And the other people are like, I think I'm going to stay on my robe all day and eat cereal. And I kind of fall into the latter camp, unfortunately. I mean, I wish I could say that this has really sparked a lot of creativity in me, but mostly I'm just kind of hanging, wasting time, and hanging out with my family. I'm having a good time. I'm enjoying it, but it hasn't really personally made me super creative. It's a bit of a bummer because we had a big tour lined up for the beginning of next year, like starting in January, and we've now canceled that because it looks like we're not going to quite be at a place where people can, safely gather in large crowds at that point. Sure. I hope I'm wrong about that, but all indications are that we're still going to be, in a place where that's not going to be completely safe. So the conventional wisdom right now is we're going to kind of hold off on touring until I guess there's a vaccine, or at least until we can guarantee that people can go without being any kind of threat to their health.
Got it. So it hasn't inspired a whole lot of creativity so far, but is there anything new that you're working on that you're excited about?
Well, there are several. I wish I could talk about them. There are actually several things that we're pitching and in various stages of pre-development on. Some very exciting projects. There's a TV project, there's a film project, and there's actually something that's happening next month music-wise, which I'm very excited about, none of which I can talk about. So and that's always the case. It's sort of like I'm always doing stuff, but very few things I can talk about until it's been officially announced. So I'm excited and I'm looking forward to it, and I wish I could say more.
Yes, well, you gotta leave them wanting more, right? So I'm curious, you have been playing music for 40 plus years. You have an incredible experience with music, but what is the most profound music memory you have, and the one that really kind of got you going playing and making music?
Well, I have to give props to Dr. Demento. Are you familiar with the Good Doctor? Maybe not. He basically discovered me, I have to say, because Dr. Demento is a disc jockey who has been on the air since the early 70s. And every Sunday night, he would have a radio show where he would play all sorts of odd, bizarre, invented music, stuff like Spike Jones and Alan Sherman and Stan Freberg and Tom Lehrer and stuff like that. Comedy music and novelty music,
Yeah.
which I never really heard anywhere else. And in my young teenage brain, that just set the synapses firing
Yeah.
and me thinking, wow, this is amazing. These are my people. This is my music. And I would love to do this. And I started sending him tapes in the mail. I'd go into my bedroom with my accordion and a little cheesy little cassette tape machine.
Like a little Fostex type of thing, or
like a 39-cent cassette, like compact cassette. And I would record in my bedroom into this little thing, and I would send him the tapes in the mail. And to my amazement, he played them on the radio.
Oh,
and
that's so amazing.
these were not good songs. I mean, these were just, I was like 14, 15 years old. They were amateurish. I could play the accordion well enough, but I was not a trained singer. I mean, they were bad, but he thought they were funny enough or maybe novel enough that he gave them airplay. Actually, the accordion was a big part of it. He told me more than once that if I was playing the guitar, he would have just thrown the tape in the trash can, like, oh, another kid with a guitar.
Sure.
But here I was, this teenage kid with an accordion, thinking he was cool and playing something about, well, that's something different. I got to give this guy a shot.
Well, for what it's worth, I agree with your teenage self. I think it's super cool that you were playing accordion at like 14, 15, and like DIYing it like that, creating a tape, sending it in. I mean, I think those are the kind of music success stories that every musician holds on to. I'm going to be discovered in some crazy way.
Yeah, and I have to say, this was decades before YouTube existed. There was no YouTube. There was no way to, there was no possible way for a teenage kid to get his material out there in the world. But I took a shot with Dr. Demento, and that seemed to work. So I was very lucky because I got exposure when it would have virtually been impossible anywhere else.
Sure. How incredible. And then who would have known it would have led to this whole life, right? Of creativity and of touring and traveling and...
I still can't believe I get to be Weird Al for a living. It boggles my mind. Because I've bucked all the odds. Even when I was doing really, really well and having a top 40 hits, back in the 80s, like nobody expected me to be around for this long because really like novelty music and comedy music are historically the domain of one-hit wonders. Like,
sure.
Oh, here's a funny song and we'll never hear from him again. It'll be like a footnote in history. And I've been very fortunate and blessed that I've been able to eke out a living and a career for 4 decades now, I guess. So I'm still hanging in there.
Yeah, it's amazing. But you are truly the master of it. It feels like there's a lot of people that have tried or dabbled but you've been able not just to do it, but to do it really well, and in a way that's constantly engaging.
Well, thank you. I surround myself with very talented people. I've had the same band since the early 80s. They're very loyal to me, and I'm very loyal to them. I tend to work with the same people for long periods of time. It becomes like a little family, and it's a support group. And I owe a lot to them because, and I've been very lucky as well. Those two things, I surround myself with very good and talented people, and something in the air or the water or something. I just been somehow the fates have shined on me.
Well, it's beautiful. In all of those years, in 40 years of playing music and making music that really brings a lot of joy to people. What's one of the kind of most profound music experiences you've had in the midst of making music that's that's has a lot of levity to it.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because sometimes you think, oh, I'm reminded always of Tex Avery, who was one of the famous cartoonists of all time. He did like Droopy Dog and all these famous old MGM cartoonists from the Golden Age. And I was told that on his deathbed, he was sad because he was complaining to his family, like, I can't believe I wasted my life doing these stupid cartoons.
Huh.
And that made me so sad because he obviously didn't. I mean, he brought so much joy to so many people over the years. And sometimes whenever I'm thinking like, oh, like the stuff I do is frivolous or it doesn't mean anything, I think about all the fans that I've met in person who told me that, I was going through a tough time in my life. Some actually told me they were suicidal, and listening to my music kind of snapped them out of that. It brought them a little bit of joy in a time in their life when they really needed that. And I always think of that because even though what I do is ostensibly kind of silly, to some people it means a whole lot. And there's, you can't downplay what a little laughter and joy means to people at certain times in their life.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think that can be miraculous in a time when it's really needed, and music is a very safe space, right? Where you can deliver that joy or that happiness or whatever that message is, right? They can reach in when maybe people wouldn't listen otherwise, and if you look at in this day and age, there's a lot happening. There's some anxiety out there, so for you to be able to bring some joy in the midst of anxiety or fear, or that's powerful medicine.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. I mean, it's an extension of my personality. I mean, that's when I do my stuff, I'm just going for a laugh and I'm having fun, and I'm not thinking how I'm going to change people's lives and nothing that lofty or high-minded, but it's a nice side effect for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. How is it? Have you had an experience where it really impacted you? Where music really changed something, or a hard time and just brought in?
Yeah, I can't think of like a specific experience, but I mean, both music and comedy have always been my safe places, so to speak. I mean, they've been my passion in life, and they've been the things that I've found comfort in and entertainment and joy in, throughout my life. So I'm very fortunate that I'm able to actually make a living doing the very thing that I enjoy so much.
That's beautiful. It's I think that's the thing that everybody, that's success, right? To be able to do what you love is.
Well, that my father told me, and this is the best thing either one of my parents ever told me. He said the only true sign of success is doing for a living the thing that makes you happy. Whether you're barely getting by or you're fabulously successful, if you can make a living doing what you're passionate about, you're already successful.
Beautiful. Well, and well done, I will say. What could you, in one word, sum up what music means to you?
One word. Oh gosh. Artichoke.
What does that mean?
Well, then if I have to explain it, it's more than one word. So.
Touche. Oh man, that right there, that's why you're the king. That's why you've done this for 40 years. All right, so Melodic Caring Project is all about bringing that joy and that hope through music and personal connection and love and encouragement to kids in hospitals. Do you have some specific kids and organizations you'd like to send some love to?
Well, actually, I do. I want to send a special shout out to my close personal friend, Faith in Minnesota. Also, Tigi in New Mexico. Tigi, shout out to you. Luca, of course, in Australia. We've been to Australia three or four times. I want to get back there. I love Australia. Mason in Texas, goes without saying. And so many kids. I also Seacrest Studios, New-York-Presbyterian in Manhattan. Who else? Monmouth Medical Center in New Jersey. George Mark Children's House in California. Oh man, Children's National, Washington, D.C. There's so many places I want to give a shout out to. I love you all. I hope to see you on tour one of these days in the future. Please keep in touch. Don't be strangers now.
Beautiful. Al, thank you so much for spending some time with us. Appreciate it. Love to you and your fam.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you all so much for joining us. If you or someone you know is battling illness and needs support, you are not alone. Sign up today at melodiccaring.org. And a huge thank you to all our first responders and healthcare providers working so hard during this COVID-19 crisis. We appreciate you. I'm Levi Ware. This is the Melodic Caring Project.